If you're a parent, I'm willing to bet you're fighting a daily battle over screens. It's just constant, right? But what does the science actually say about all that time on their devices? Well, today we're going to cut through all the noise and give you a clear, evidence-based guide to what's really going on. So let's dive in.
This is the question, isn't it? It's on every single parent's mind. You see them just glued to their screens, scrolling, gaming, watching, and you can't help but wonder, is this good for them? Is it bad? Are they missing out on, well, on just being a kid? Look, these are totally valid concerns, and you are absolutely in the right place to get some real answers.
And the good news? We don't have to just guess anymore. There are decades of research that give us a surprisingly clear picture. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to break down the science, what's really happening in their developing brains, and then, and this is the most important part, we'll build a practical plan that you can actually use for your family. Okay, so first things first, we have to understand what's at stake here. Let's take a hard look at what the research says about the documented risks of, too much of the wrong kind of screen time. So right off the bat, it's really important to get this. Screen time isn't all bad. Not at all. In fact, research shows some types, like strategy video games, can genuinely boost things like visual skills and problem solving. But, and this is a big but, there's a flip side. The science is also crystal clear that excessive use, especially that endless passive scrolling, is linked to some pretty serious cognitive costs. We're talking shorter attention spans, and for younger kids, even delays in learning to talk. And the impact isn't just about their brain power, It's about their moods, too. A huge recent study found a really clear tipping point. Just look at this data. Kids who get more than 2 hours of screen time a day have about 1.7 times the odds of having behavioral and emotional problems. To put that in plain English, that's a 70% increased risk for things like anxiety and depression. It's what scientists call a dose response. The more they get, the higher the risk. So why is this happening? What's driving it? Well, when it comes to their emotional health, a huge piece of the puzzle is something called social comparison. Think about it. When kids are just passively scrolling through these perfect curated lives on TikTok or Instagram, it can trigger what researchers call, well, this false belief that one's own life is inferior. And that feeling, that I'm not good enough feeling, that is a direct line to anxiety and just feeling bad about yourself. And then there's sleep. Oh man, this is a huge one. The blue light from those screens at night, it literally messes with their brain chemistry. It tells the brain to stop making melatonin, which is the hormone that helps you sleep. And this kicks off a really vicious cycle. They sleep poorly, so the next day they're moody and can't focus. So what do? They turn to a screen for some easy stimulation, which then messes up their sleep again that night. You see how it works? It's a tough cycle to break. Okay, so we've laid out the risks, and it can sound a little scary. But this is where the conversation gets a lot more nuanced and, frankly, a lot more helpful. Because here's the key. Not all screen time is created equal. Not by a long shot. So, on one side, you've got what's called passive consumption. This is the lean-back experience. Your child is basically a receiver. They're just absorbing stuff. You know exactly what this looks like, that hypnotic, endless scroll on TikTok or binge-watching one YouTube video after another. It's a total one-way street, and it takes almost zero brain power. Now, the complete opposite of that is active engagement. This is a lean-forward experience. Here, your child isn't just a spectator. They're a participant. They're interacting, creating, solving problems. Think about them building a whole world with their friends in Minecraft or designing their own game in Roblox. Their brain is actually firing, making choices, and working with others. Let's put this head-to-head to make it super clear. Think about TikTok versus Roblox. TikTok is basically the poster child for passive use, right? It's all about quick hits, instant gratification. You just consume, consume, consume. Roblox, on the other hand, is usually active. It often makes kids think strategically, manage stuff, and work together to reach a goal. So the big takeaway here is asking yourself, what is my child actually doing on that screen? Okay, so we get the risks. We get the difference between active and passive. Now for the million-dollar question, how do we put this all together? Well, let's turn to the experts and their guidelines to build what you can think of as a healthy digital diet. If there is one number you take away from all this, it's this one. 2 hours. All the big players, the World Health Organization, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they all pretty much agree on this guideline. For kids and teens, any screen time that's just for fun should be limited to 2 hours a day.
And just so you know, this isn't some random number they pulled out of a hat. It's based on tons of studies showing that kids who stay under this limit are just, well, they're healthier.
But listen, it's not just about watching the clock. The whole point of the 2-hour rule is really about priorities. The bigger, more important question to ask is, what is that screen time pushing out of the way? See, for a kid to develop in a healthy way, there's some non-negotiables. They need a full night of sleep, about an hour of physical activity, and lots of time for face-to-face stuff with family and friends, not to mention homework and chores. Screens should only get the time that's left over, after all the important stuff is done.
And this brings us back to that idea of quality over quantity. That whole active versus passive thing we talked about, this is where it really comes into play. I mean, think about it. 2 hours spent learning to code or creating amazing digital art is just worlds better than 2 hours spent zoning out to random mind-numbing videos. What they're doing truly, truly matters.
All right, so the theory is great, right? But now let's get down to brass tacks. How do you actually make this happen in a busy house with kids who probably know more about tech than you do? This next part, this is your toolkit.
Seriously, if you only do one thing after hearing all this, please make it this. The number one single most effective rule for better sleep and way less fighting over screens is this: make bedrooms a tech-free zone. The research on this is overwhelming. Just getting the devices out of the bedroom is an absolute game changer for how well and how long they sleep. And instead of feeling like you're the screen time police 24/7, try creating a family media plan. The key is to get your kids involved in making it. So step 1, sit down and agree on the time limits together. Step 2, define those tech-free zones, like no phones at the dinner table. Step 3, talk about what counts as high-quality stuff. And step 4, and honestly, this is the most important one, you have to walk the walk. You have to model it yourself, because trust me, they are watching you. A lot of the time, kids just turn to screens because they're bored. So the best defense is a good offense, right? Your goal is to make the real world even more interesting than the digital one. Things like getting outside, playing sports, diving into a creative hobby, or just breaking out a family board game. These aren't just ways to kill time. They actively build the exact skills like creativity, focus, and real social connection that passive screen time can actually wear away. And look, let's be real. The goal here is not to eliminate screens completely. That's just not realistic. And it's not even necessary. Technology is a huge part of our world now. The real goal is balance. It's all about teaching our kids how to use these incredibly powerful tools with purpose and with intention so that they can thrive in all parts of their lives, both on and offline. So I want to leave you with a little challenge. Just take a look at your family's schedule for this coming week. Can you find just 1 hour? 1 hour that you can reclaim from passive screen time and turn it into 1 hour of active, connected family time? The answer to that question, well, that's where the change really begins.